Let's move on. On Tuesday, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was at the results fair. Subsequently, he talked about how the economy has improved, and we've seen the numbers. And the numbers are good at the macro level. You look at those indicators. It also points to how fiscal consolidation has been able to maintain. Of course, the critics about how that has not trickled down to the macro level. But the Minister of Finance says it is with time, ultimately. That we'll get there. And then we followed up with coverage of John Jinapor, who was a deputy of the sector, energy, related matters, talking, addressing a news conference and speaking broadly on the related matters within the with the sector. We'll take a soundbite from Jinapor, then you will react to it, and then he also have a reaction. But
why wouldn't he react first?
Okay, he will react first.
Kokofu should react.
Okay, so please, John Jinapor.
Well, you are free to speak first?
No.
President Akufo-Addo will go down in history as the luckiest president in Ghana, and I'll prove that. The luckiest in terms of revenues and resources. But certainly, he would go down as a president who has done very, very little for this country when it comes to substance and issues that affect your lives. If you look at petroleum receipts, President Mahama received 6.4 billion cedis in his whole 4 year. President Akufo-Addo, by the end of this year, will be receiving over 20 billion cedis in petroleum revenues. If you look at energy sector levies, and this is a levy the MPP described as obnoxious. This is a levy the MPP promised that on assumption of office, they will scrap that levy. President Mahama received only 3 billion of energy sector levies. President Akufo-Addo is receiving 12 billion of these energy sector levies. Not only have they retained it, they have increased the levies on petroleum, they've increased the levies on diesel, they've increased the levies on gas, and increased the levies on petrol. And so when the BDCs are paid through the energy sector levies, instead of giving credit to the man who dreamt about it, who conceived it, who pioneered it, they rather want to take credit for where they did not sow. And yesterday I saw them parading it all over. I think that the time has come for us to be honest. The time has come for politicians to state the truth and be honest to the people of Ghana. Because politics can also be about the truth. Like I said, if you look at total revenues, and I decided to do 3 years, 3 years. If you look at the budgets, President Mahama received 71 billion cedis in the 3 years. President Akufo-Addo has received 141 billion cedis in 3 years. And so you can see the little that President Mahama got in terms of revenues and the whooping amounts that President Akufo-Addo got, and compare the two to see who has done better given the circumstances that they find themselves in. Due to these huge petroleum increases, and if you look at the 2018 budget, Ghana had a surplus in terms of the exports of petroleum and the imports of more than $1 billion.
And we all do know at the heart of all this is sufficiency. And it looks like government has managed this so well. But of course, there's the content that was delivered and the criticism by John Jinapor and the rest of the communicators of the NDC about the energy sector, etc. But there will be some strong responses definitely coming on the side of government about how so far the sector has been managed.
Yes, predictably, NDC is playing to the goal. You remember Vice President Bawumia said he knows that NDC will come out to debunk most of the assertions that he's making. And rightly so, we began to see and be hearing from them. But to come up with concrete evidence as per data and figures is what is lacking in their response. You see...
You didn't listen to John Jinapor?
Yeah, I listened to him, but he made a very good confession. BDCs have been paid. How much? That legacy debt, about $1 billion, have been paid by the Akufo-Addo administration. And other more payments have been made. The legacy debt at the energy sector alone was so huge, and that was what was bringing about the Doomsaw issue. So when we talk about having resolved Doomsaw and all other things, it meant that the management of the legacy debt has been properly and so-called been done by this administration. No wonder. You see, if I were NDC, I would have taken my time to go through what...
Well, for example, he reads, it says, during the period of the Mahama administration, efforts were made to ensure that IPPs were given the opportunity to be able to participate freely in the energy provision sector of our country. And he says the MPP administration says that we have more than enough IPPs, but is going on to sign on more expansive agreements in the guise of providing more energy.
No, but you see, most of the IPP agreements were obnoxious. I mean, they were detrimental to the state, and we are aware, take-or-pay policies and all kinds of things. And then the inflated rates at which we are buying the energy that were being produced. And government has gone back to do some kind of renegotiations in order to get a better deal for the country. And all these things have saved the nation some huge amounts of money. So they cannot go in there and then try to say what they are trying to say. You see, they are in opposition. And unfortunate for them, they have a record to defend. They have a record to defend. We're going to take the battle to them and then push them to compare the performance of Akufo-Addo's government as to that of their 8 years in government. What Vice President Bawumia came down to do in Kumasi and said is nothing so different or too different from what the professor, the former governor of Nigeria, Professor Charles, do you remember the name?
No, we don't.
You don't remember the name? Yeah. The man you invited to give a maiden lecture at... the
University of Ghana.
Yeah, the late Vice President, Mr. Arthur's lecture. Memorial lecture, yes. The professor that came. He expatiated the issues as to the running of the economy. Indeed, you gave him the topic to deal with the management of the economy so far. And he said this present government have managed the state's economy perfect and is doing well. And called upon all Ghanaians, including NDCs that were sitting there, that we should not toy with the achievement that we've chalked so far. The nation is on good footing and all that. And he mentioned figures, facts and figures. And these were the facts and figures that were used by Dr. Bawumia. At the lecture there, you couldn't have the balls to challenge the professor that he was lying or he was saying anything.
Professor
contrary.
Charles Soludo is his name.
That's the point. So you can help viewers and your cherished listeners to have a bite on that lecture if you have. And to tell you that independent thinking, well-meaning people can sit back and see what this administration have done in 3 years, turning around the fortunes of the economy of this country. All the figures support, it goes to support the fact that things have been put on a better pedestal, and the takeoff will make Ghana what we all aspire to. The most fundamental thing to look at is that when former President Mahama and his team had no option but to take Ghana to IMF, what he came to Parliament to tell all of us, I mean Ghanaians through Parliament, is that there's the need to go to IMF to seek policy credibility. And that alone tells you that having lost the capacity to handle our own policy initiatives and to handle our own fiscal policy runnings, and that things are getting so bad to the extent that the end result was that we've moved from 14% GDP growth from 2011 down to 2016, 3.6%. This is enough results to showcase the performance of Mahama Mills administration till 2016. So you left the economy at 3.6%, you left inflation at 17.5%, you left what? Basically, all the figures point to negativities. Agriculture was growing negative. So you have a government who comes into office within a year or two, gets Ghana out of IMF, saying that the fiscal policy and other policy credibilities that we lacked, we've restored that, and that we can come out of IMF conditionalities. That's a major thing. Then the government says, and the record shows, that from 3.6% GDP growth, we've moved to 7%. This is enough to tell you. Today, as I'm reading the papers, inflation has dropped again to 7.5% or so. These are, you tell me, these are the
January inflation rate.
You
Don't be misled. This is January inflation rate. Anyway, you wind up and let me deal with the issue.
So you come and tell me that these are macro things it has not reflected down. Yes, of course, the incubation period, it may need time. But even then, monies in the pocket can be realized when you think through that the man at Amakrum, Ajaba, whose daughters are in nursing teacher and teacher training, are receiving the allowances.
So that the normal Ghanaian just cares about the day-to-day offering, so to speak,
yes,
and satisfaction they get.
Yes, I agree. I mean, it trickles
free
down.
SHS and the related issues of management.
Of the economy. The reflections are there. Just that sometimes we, as a people, we need to be tickled. We need to be reminded as to what is going on within our environment. If you are a farmer like a Jabam who used to get 10 bags of cocoa from his 1 acre farm.
That's what you think about, not the energy sector.
All those things go into play. So generally, we are saying that we haven't made Ghana the heaven that we all expect, but we've moved the nation from worse situations to at least a good level. We will soon get to a better, and then we move on. That is what President Akufo-Addo is about.
Let me get your reactions, especially coming from the position of the NDC.
Roland, I have listened to you carefully and pour superlatives on the things Bawumia had said. And it is worrying that you are not interrogating his figures. You are praising. Let me tell you.
I'm praising Dr. Mamudu Bawumia.
Yes.
So you stand accused. Oh, I'm helping you.
Please. No.
So now the host stand accused.
Yes, j'accuse.
Okay.
Now, in 2001, when the NPP assumed the reins of power, what did they do? Didn't Kufuor take us to IMF?
Oh.
Didn't Kufuor take us to IMF? Is HIPIC not an IMF package?
I will answer you.
You answer me. So going to IMF.
Should I answer you?
No. You see, they think that when they go to IMF.
Should I answer you?
No. But I sat here, you spoke.
No.
You spoke copiously for about 12 minutes.
No, you put up a question. You said you wanted to ask me a question.
No, but
and questions demand answers.
It is rhetorical. You are killing my time.
Yeah.
When they go to IMF and stay there for 6 years, we should glorify them. When Mahama goes to IMF for 2 years, he should be vilified. You see the kind of people we have.
Isn't it because of the reasons why you go?
What is the reason? What did Kufuor say? Kufuor said there is no money for him to manage.
Because he inherited a bad economy.
Please.
The inheritance. Okay, I'll answer you.
We are talking about
Please
you
continue.
going to IMF also.
Okay.
But he said he was going to IMF for policy credibility and for debt relief. And he was granted so much debt relief. So going to IMF is not the issue. They should stop bastardizing that because it won't wash. When they assumed the reins, they promised, as part of their campaign promise, that as soon as they get the opportunity to govern this country, they will abrogate the IMF contract. When they assumed the reins of power in January 2017, do you know when they abrogated the IMF program? When they exited. They stayed there for 2.5 years. Was that not equivalent to the number of years Mahama stayed there? So this argument will not wash. So we'll leave the IMF politics. It won't help you. Let's come back to the energy sector. This government continues to say that when they came to see in existence excess number of IPP energy agreements, and that it was a drain on the economy.
Yes, for which reason we even have 1 billion.
Yes,
just a 3 billion
and they
bond that we just take
capacity,
to retire some of
excess capacity. You know the Kumasi Fair is the second in the series to the one they held in Accra. The one they held in Accra, the news didn't even go beyond the gate of Parliament House. Nobody bothered. So they decided to go to Kumasi. They are talking of Polugu. As part of the Polugu irrigation project, are they not going to construct 2 types of dams or energy producing systems? One hydro and one solar. To add a 50 megawatt and a 60 megawatt. Is that not 110 megawatts? And this is a government that says that we have excess supply of energy. And yet, as part of your flagship programs, you want to go and build a hydro dam and produce another source of energy. So you see the lies, they themselves, their own policies are exposing the lies that they continue to tell. That's one. 2, they claim, like Jinapo said, yes.
What time is it?
Yes, but you gave him 12 minutes.
And where's the time?
You see, like Jinapo said, you said you were going to renegotiate some of these power agreements, and you negotiate a merit, for instance, from a $530 million to a 1.3 billion for 15 years, and you sit here and say we should glorify you. Who has incurred more money to the nation? So you are very poor negotiation skills. The things you claim you have done. We touch on agric. 12 million value of fertilizer is reported missing in the agric sector. We can't find. They are in Burkina Faso. And you are saying agric is growing at what rate?
The figures are there.
Why?
The figures are there.
Agric subsector.
Yes.
Look at them critically.
Please.
Look at tourism.
You see, you cannot.
Please. I listen to you carefully.
But don't use your time to lie.
I'm not lying.
Don't use. Agric is growing positively.
I am saying that if you look at the figures, they are negligible. If you look at one village, one dam, the one village, one dam, the dams have all dried up.
Who says so? Who says so?
We have evidence of a lot of the dams.
Have you been there?
Dugouts.
You see, that is why people are going to punish you this time. They are going to vote against you because anything that goes for the people.
Please, I was very quiet when you were talking.
Yeah, but you are lying.
I'm not lying.
Let's make this point. Let's make this point. This is the last point.
The essence of creating a dam is to store water when the people need it. You understand?
Yeah, but we have the dams.
No, well, the dams have dried up. That's what I'm telling you.
Well, give me a minute to address.
And then one village, one constituency, one factory. Look.
Did you receive the ambulances? I saw one.
Yes, I got the
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
We built a hospital.
Oh,
if you give me
thank
an
God.
ambulance, what have you done?
Oh.
In Southdown,
did you receive the ambulance?
Listen, in Southdown, the NDC built 7 chips compound.
Can I
supplied us one VW ambulance. This is what people don't know.
Can I help with this?
Roxanne,
Let me
Nelson,
make this point.
the
In
farmer
Southdown,
is a member of parliament for South
7 chips compound.
South Dine constituency. Former member of parliament for Bantama is Henry Kwabena Kokofu. I wanted to ask
one VW ambulance. So if you come today and give me one Mercedes-Benz ambulance,
President Kufuor inherited a very poor economy.
Let's not do this. Let's not do this.
You always inherit poor economy.
You inherited.
You always inherit poor economy. You always claim
It's the two of you. It's okay. I want to read an LPM.
Yes.
Okay, so silent. We need that for the audience.
You always inherit poor.